Davi Davenport live right here. And guess what? Nobody loves you more than I do.
It's time for the Davi Davenport Live. Davi Davenport Live Show. Davi. She's live! It's a party on the couch. It's time for the Davi Davenport Live. Davi Davenport Live Show. Davi Davenport Live.
That's me, guys. That's your girl, Davi Davenport. Hello, everyone. I'm super excited. Welcome to Davi Davenport Live. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you for tuning in. Let me make sure I'm fabulous on here. You know, we have to make sure we keep it fabulous. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening to Davi Davenport Live. You know, we've had so much excitement that has gone on. So many great shows have taken place here. Davi Davenport Live is all about introducing you to people that maybe you've never met before, stories that you've never heard, or things that are going to change your life. You know, we've had people talk about overcoming drug abuse and how they've turned their lives around with their families. And we've had people that have come on the show to say how they were raised in the projects and how they turned that around and they've been giving things away to people in droves. I love my girl Thaisa Walton, who's going to be joining us on Davi Davenport Live. Thaisa took her story. She says just a little girl from the Ickies who turned her story around and decided that she was going to make sure that nobody had to go through what she went through. We all understand that story. I know I do too, for sure. We've also had people come on and talk about dating after 50, what that looks like. You know, that's your girl Davi, seeing what that feels like. What does it look like for us to date after 50? So many people think, especially women, oh, you know, I can't, it's over for me. No, it's not, honey. It's not over at all. The excitement begins. I really think that after 50, that's when the real excitement turns on for real. So we've had so many incredible shows. Shout out to everybody that's over at The Answer Inc. You know, I'm proud to be the board president for The Answer Inc. Super excited. September the 26th, we have our big Black Gala coming up. And I want you guys, make sure you go to all of my social media pages and check out what we're doing on the 26th. I would love to have you come out as my guest. It is going to be an exciting evening. Now, tonight, my guest that's joining me, because this segment has been a segment for me, and thank you to everyone I see you all chiming in now. This segment that we're doing tonight has been something that I've wanted to do for a while. And this segment is all about domestic violence and what domestic violence looks like. You know, so many times there's silence wrapped around this topic and people feel like they're embarrassed to share that they've experienced it, or, hey, George, how are you? That they've experienced it, or something has gone on in their life, or maybe they just felt like it was their fault so many times. And it's absolutely not the case. No one should ever put their hands on another individual for any reason at all. So my guest this evening, the incredible, when I tell you that Yolanda Carter is a woman of integrity, this woman has taken her story and said, not only is she going to share with you this evening about what she experienced, but we're also going to share how she's taken her story and helped thousands of others, how she's been on all kind of I'm honored to have her on this evening because she's been on all the major television networks and gotten all kind of awards around the globe for her sharing her story. So many times we decide that we're going to not share our story. I don't want anybody to know this happened to me. I don't want anyone to know this is my experience. And Yolanda is doing just the opposite. So I'm going to tell you a lot more about her, but I don't want to keep her off the screen any longer. She is absolutely fabulous. She is becoming one of my very close friends. Thank you to everyone that's taken their evening tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time to chime in. To all my people that are out there on the West Coast, all of the supporters, thank you so much. I know Yolanda has a lot of friends that are chiming in as well. So we're going to be talking to you and answering questions that you have from my guests this evening. So please, 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 let me make sure we get her a round of applause going on here. I want to make sure I I have my crew to do this, but I'm working the back end myself. Yolanda Carter, let's get you a round of applause. Welcome on board to Davi Davenport Live, girl.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me,
Oh,
Davi.
yes,
Can
girl. So
can you all hear me?
yes, we can hear you. You look incredible. Thank you, girl. You giving cleavage, girl. I should have had the girls out tonight also. I call myself wearing purple for you, girl. You had the twins out. Honey. I digress. I digress. I digress. How are you, Yolanda? How are you
I
this?
am doing fabulous. Thank you all for coming on. Thank you for having me. You
Yes.
know, this is something that I do and I love what I do because this is needed. It's
Yes, it
nothing
is.
that, there are real people out here that go through real life situations. And for somebody to see something someone go through and be like, oh my God, they went through that, but they survived, and
Yes.
that's the beauty and everything about this whole story. So I'm an
Oh,
open book. Any questions or whatever, I'm open to it. So
the great thing, Yolanda, and thank you so much for that. The great thing about having you on today is you remember our first conversation, and Yolanda Jennings here said, "You look fabulous with the purple heart."
thank you,
Kia
sister.
says, "Thank you, my beautiful sister, Yolanda." Yolanda Jennings again did round of applause. George Long, my brother, said, I'm fine. There's some type of issue on my sick. Oh, George, that's okay. Thank you for all your support and for everyone that's chiming in. What's interesting is that Yolanda, our first conversation that we talked on the phone for over an hour.
Yes.
And with our conversation, what really impressed me about you was that you were so willing to share your story, and that I've wanted to, I in Los Angeles, I had the opportunity, and that's what I always call it, but an opportunity to talk to quite a few women that were also sharing their story, even some young ladies that were teens that were experiencing that at some of the high schools that I mentored at. So when I spoke to you, and I shout out to my girlfriend and your friend, Ashonia Scott. Ashonia said,
Hey,
Esty Marie's dressing. We love you. Hey, Shoni. We love you. Esty Marie's dressing. She
yeah.
said, I have someone that I know would be great for you to talk to, Davi. I have someone that would want to, because my goal is always, if we share the stories about ourselves, our real lives, that's why I share my stories of things I've experienced. My mother had experienced domestic violence, and I talk about it and share it without having to. She's in heaven, so I'm not, wanting to expose all of her business, but she would have shared it and she would have wanted me to. And so I knew personally what that looked like with my stepfather. I knew what that was and how long it took us to get out of that. So I wanted to invite you on. Yolanda, when you first of all, let's talk about little Yolanda. We're gonna take this 1 hour time, and we're going to go from how everything was in your life, what happened, and how you're standing so tall today, and what that looks like. So let's talk about the woman before any of the domestic violence, because I know I want to share all the fabulosity of everything that you're doing now in the community. But I want to talk a little bit about what that looked like, how you were functioning prior to, what your family life was.
Okay. Hey, y'all. Well, actually, little Yolanda, I was a very free spirited person. I was a young lady that, really, um, I wouldn't say I had a few goals, right? But I became a teen mom at the age of 16. And growing up was something that was always told. My parents always told me that if you kiss a boy, you would get pregnant. So I was 14, but I could say I was a little fast or whatever. But I guess that was just my nature. I'm a Leo, and I'm very, I'm very inquisitive. I like to,
Sure,
I
sure.
like to see what's going on. I like challenge. So I was the type of kid that just was like, I just enjoy just doing whatever I wanted to do. I listened to my parents. I never had to get any whoopings because I was just the type of kid that would do what I was supposed to do.
Sure.
I was raised in the background, a family dynamic. My dad and mom both were in the same home. My father put us in private school. We had a grocery store business, raised up in, in business and stuff like that. So it was, I was not, I didn't know anything about domestic violence or intimate partner violence or any uh, listening to any rah rah or any like any arguing or anything like that. So that was all foreign to me.
You
So
know
my
what's
parents.
interesting? And you know
Mhm.
what's just to interject a little bit, and I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
A lot of times people think
Mhm.
that if you have had domestic violence happen in your life, that this was something that you'd seen all your life. Like that
Mhm.
is some people's story. But
Mhm.
the same thing with my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather, they were the opposite. There wasn't any arguing in the household. There wasn't any of that. There wasn't domestic violence. So when my mother experienced it with my stepfather, this wasn't anything that she had seen before. So many people think, well, maybe, she's, and I want to be straight about one thing also, guys, and just so domestic violence isn't something that only happens with women.
No.
So I want to make sure that we do put that out there for any gentlemen that are tuning in or for anyone that sees this later. Thank you for everyone that chiming in tonight. Domestic violence is not just, it is
Mhm.
primarily women that it happens. It says one in every two women will experience domestic violence. That's one in every two women will experience that. So it's never to think, I don't want anyone to ever tune in and say, we think that it's only women.
Oh
So
no, not at all.
in your household, there wasn't any domestic violence.
There was nothing modeled or shown, even argue. I never even heard my parents argue before. So that was something, when it started happening to me, it was foreign because that was nothing that we even had a conversation about because it was not even happening. So I guess if we shouldn't have those type of conversations if it's not happening, maybe they want to make sure that we are protected from those kind of things.
Sure.
My dad was a little strict, but it was nothing that we couldn't do, as long as it was respectful and our parents, because it wasn't that, oh, okay, mama, can I go to over Sally Sue house or whatever, or can I go with my friend's house? First of all, it's like, let me call your dad first because I could not move without my parents, both of them giving the okay. As long as my dad give the okay, and my mom, because she was not able to make those decisions in our household, and I think that that was a good thing because a lot of us, as children, we run rapid because if mama say we can go, mama say we can go. There's not a lot of father figures in the home, so a lot of children are not being, they don't know the family dynamic when you have two parent household and you have to ask both before you can move. So it was a great thing for me, I believe, because um I think that I probably would have ran rapid because I was just a very free spirited person, but
Sure.
I also was very cautious as well. But then in a sense, being cautious was not when I trusted someone and I you know had a baby at the age of 16.
Well, you know what, Yolanda, here's the interesting thing because my mother was a teenage parent and 19 years old, she gave birth to me. And so to hear you again, for you to share that with the viewer, that back in years ago when we were young and prior to us, a lot of people, especially in the South, a lot
Mhm.
of women had children at a young age. And so when you share that, sometimes that we think about someone being naive at that age, but a lot
Mhm.
of times there's a lot of maturity that's there. And when I've spoken to you and we had our conversation, I really heard a lot of maturity. A lot of times what it is what you were, where you were trusting, and with the
Mhm.
conversation that we had and what you're trusting. Yolanda, let's talk a little bit about we talked about you having, your children and what that looked
Mhm.
like, but when exactly did you think to yourself, just as you were growing, maybe I'm too forgiving? Maybe I'm too forgiving with people, because there's always that time where we're too forgiving and we give people too much of an opportunity to take advantage of us? What did that look like for you?
Well, myself, I think because I was always that kind of kid that was nice, that just didn't see nothing wrong in a person. I was just that kind of girl. I didn't know anything. I didn't know about being mean or saying no. I didn't even know, even up until after this happened to me, that I even had a voice, because I felt like if I say no to a person, they'll be mad at me, or I would not, I would not get what I needed from them or something like that. So I just felt like I didn't know how to say no. I was raised, that we do unto others, we are doing to others as you will have done unto yourself. But when it came down to a lot of things, because I wasn't raised to, you know, be a fighter or to be mean or one of the mean girls or want to just say no, 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 no. And I think I just gave in so much, and I just felt like that was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't know any better. I guess, your parents can teach you so much, but when it came down to stuff like that, I guess I missed the ball. I did, because once I look back on it now, I allow people to hurt me, and it would happen over and over and over and over again because I didn't know how to say no. I
Sure.
always just gave in, and it's like, okay, because one, especially in a relationship, if you don't do what the person wants, that's the fear. That's the
Yeah.
fear of them, maybe like, well, I don't want to be
Won't
with
be
you
with
no
me
more,
anymore. Yeah.
or you don't do what I tell you to do. So I always wanted to be the girl that, if you say it, I'm gonna do it. Just
There's
that's
a
just
lot
how I
more,
was.
and there's a lot, and I want to make a correction. I said one in every two. It's actually one in every
One that
four. So
right.
let me make the correction on that, guys. I always like to make sure I make the correction. We're celebrating sarcoma also with a girlfriend of mine, to Deanna Morales, that's out there. So we have Deanna that is fighting for her life with sarcoma, and we were talking about there's only 1% of the people in the world that experience this. So excuse me,
Oh
that's been on my
my.
mind today. Yeah, we'll talk about that toward the end and how we're going to be lighting up Chicago this Friday for Deanna.
Okay.
When I think
Awesome.
about, that's what we're all about. We're about sharing stories that are going to change people's lives. What you
Mhm.
talked about when you mentioned about not wanting to say no, that is a lot of people have that same, especially women. A lot of us have that in our hearts because we're nurturers. So when
Nurtured by nature.
someone asks us to do something, that we want to do it all, that's what, oh my God, I want to help this person. And we're very forgiving when it comes to things like that. I know I've forgiven people before for things that maybe I shouldn't have. And I spoke to you about this as well, because my mother experienced the domestic violence with my stepfather. I end up being the kind of person that if you even looked at me funny, I was
Mhm.
ready. I shared with you that I still do
Yes.
tell guys, I'll go, look, if you ever put your hands on me, I'm going to kill you. And I've had one or two say, don't you think that's extreme? And I laugh and say, you haven't seen extreme, but maybe that's a defect because being that strong, but it's just that fear of anything happening, so I kind of have that opposite side. Yolanda, let's go ahead and move forward and let's talk about that when you met your ex-boyfriend, and let's just fast forward just a bit,
Okay.
when you met your boyfriend and what that looked like, because you said he was so nice, he was so
Yeah.
loving, he brought the check home, he did all the right things that we think are always right. He brought the check
Yes.
home. Like, okay, that's what we need. He's on, on the team. Tell us
Yes.
about tell us about the beginning of that, how you met him. We're just going to
Okay.
glaze through that,
Okay.
but how you met him, what that looked like for you.
Well, I met this guy. I met him at a repast from someone that was, in the neighborhood. He got murdered. And we were at the repast, and it was just something about him. He was that kind of guy that was suited and booted and had a dial bone, and I mean, he was looking very
Or
debonair. And I was like, wow, he is very handsome. So that kind of like, sparked my interest, and we just sat down that whole evening. We had our little, because the repast was outside. So, I had brought my little lawn chair around the corner and stuff, and just sat there and just conversated. And, when the night was over with, we exchanged information. And then after that, we just went, like, man, the next day he asked me the next day, do you have any money? Not for me to give him money. And he was just, how you looking? You good? You got any money or whatever? And of course, I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. I work. He was like, well, he wanted to give me a few dollars, and then he wanted me to come over to his house. He wanted to cook for me. And I thought that was very impressive. I'm like, okay, a
Sure.
man wants you to come over and so he can cook for you. Because a lot of men don't know how to cook. There are men that do know how to cook, but he was the one that knew how to cook everything.
And let's take it
Anything
back.
that
He asked you, how did you look? Do you have any money? He wasn't asking you for money. He was saying,
Right.
hey,
He
how you
wanted to
looking?
give me some, so
Yes,
I
that's
was like very interested. I'm like, okay. So the
sure.
next thing I know that we start talking, and like how those conversations on the phone, I was on my way to work. He would talk to me going to work. He would talk to
Wow.
me, it was just like all my whole day was just talking to him on the phone and everything. And I was like, wow, this man is he really piqued my interest. And I was like really excited to get to know who he was. So after that, it just seemed like everything was just he was a perfect gentleman. You know what I'm saying? He was that type of guy that when you go outside, if you got rusty ankles, oh no, we ain't going outside like that. He gonna make some lotion them up. Then when we go eating dinner out in like a steakhouse, he would, get my plate and he would cut my meat up, and he would do everything that a gentleman does that I wasn't used to, because I mean I had guys that buy the car, pay the car notes and did all the great things, but a lot of the other little things that I was like, wow, this man is really, he's a real gentleman. And I was really, I was taken back by all of that. So I think that kind of like made me push towards him, being, excited about, where we was going. Because not only that, and I want to be very clear about what I say when I say this, I was already in a relationship with someone. We were still living together. And I know that you always supposed to close one door before you open up another one, right? But at the end of the day, it just didn't happen that way. And I started moving forward because the other relationship, it was taking its course already. So um,
Yolanda,
it
can I ask you something with the other relationship? And thank you for being extremely transparent. The thing that we have to do, I believe, is how we heal from anything is
mhm,
how transparent we are, not just with others, but how transparent we are with ourselves. What does that look like? What does that transparency look like? And for anyone that's tuning in to Davi Davenport Live right now, I want to say a huge thank you to you for jumping on board on your Sunday night. I thank you so much. Davi Davenport Live is all about sharing people and information and stories with you that possibly can change your life. I'm hoping that tonight, if there's someone out there that's experiencing domestic violence, let's make sure that we get the information up here for you. If you're going through domestic violence, this is the hotline, 800-799-7233. Let's stop avoiding when we see something happening in someone's life. Let's make sure that
exactly.
we actually we know when we see the signs, guys. Don't be afraid to ask your loved one, are you okay? Are you okay? That's very, very important. Yolanda, and again, thank you for your transparency, for you to share that you knew that you were already in a relationship, because they say close one door, as you said, before you enter the other. Did
Mhm.
he know that you were in a relationship
He
when he
did.
met you?
He
Because, and
did.
so what was his response to that? He knew you were in this relation. What was his response?
Well, his response was he actually thought that in his mind that he could take me away and just have him to me to himself. But it was still a process, going through what I was going through with the other person. So I ended up eventually, just being with him. But it was just like, oh, he was kind of like forcing it. And one day, I went to go to his house, and my cousin needed something. And when I went there and I got the phone call from the person that I was with on his break, he called me and I answered the call. And I didn't think that it was nothing wrong with it because he already knew that I was going to be talking to this man on his break. So he asked me to use my phone, and he threw my phone down the alley. So apparently right there, that just showed me that you was not accepting the fact that I was still,
Sure.
in this relationship with this person. So it was like it just became a problem. And I guess because when everything, just like a new pair of shoes or a new car smell, it's new until you start seeing some of those red flags. But a lot of those red flags were the writing on the wall, but I just
Yeah.
dismissed it, and I made excuses for bad behaviors because I felt like, oh, okay, so he would not talk to me days at a time. Okay, well, something must be wrong with him. And then when I just felt like I should have seen a
Yolanda. Okay, guys, Yolanda, we're just going to get Yolanda back here in a second. Yolanda, we can't see you. We're going to get Yolanda back in. What's really good is that Yolanda is sharing. And Yolanda,
okay,
we're
I'm
not able
sorry.
to. That's okay. What's
Can you
really
hear
good?
me?
Yes, we can. And what's really good, guys, is that Yolanda is sharing, her story and being
I can't hear you.
transparent 100% about what she's
Oh my
experiencing.
God.
And she said that, Yolanda, you might want to go in and come back out. Yolanda, you might want to go in and come back out.
Hold on,
What's
let me
good?
see.
What's good is that what Yolanda is sharing is that she was being transparent with him. And I would say also, and she and I spoke, and that's why I'm going to share this. I'm going to bring her right back on the stage. If a guy is okay with you going out with another guy, and Yolanda Jennings said that's love bombing. Kaya, I hope I'm saying it right. That's a beautiful name, said that exactly. She completely understood. And George said that those are warning signs. If somebody is okay with you having another relationship actively going on, and we're going to get Yolanda to come right back in, that's a red sign. That's a red flag, because how are they? Eventually, they're going to begin to feel uncomfortable with that. Most people don't really want to share you with someone else. That's a red flag that most people don't want to share. So that's the thing. Yolanda's coming right back in now. So we wanted to, but that's the thing. A lot of people don't. So for Yolanda to share that she was transparent with him, to tell him that I have someone else, but it really was only a matter of time before. And then Kaya, am I saying her name correct, or is it Kia?
Kaya
Kaya,
Capers.
I did
Hey,
say it right.
Kaya.
Beautiful, Kaya. Yes, Kaya said, absolutely. Yolanda here says she is sharing so many red flags that we often miss. And that's the reason why we wanted to share this story tonight, because when we see the red flags, another thing, guys, and let me just tell you this, and Yolanda, I want you to chime right back in. Domestic violence doesn't have an age.
No.
Domestic violence, I've known women that have said to me that their mates were in their 70s and that their mates started abuse at that time. So don't ever think that if someone starts to talk to you poorly, they start to talk to you poorly and talk down to you. You don't look good. You don't this. I don't like the way you do that. I don't like the way you're saying that. I don't like that. That's a form of abuse.
Yes.
That's a form of abuse. So when someone says that, that's how it starts a lot of times, guys. So when you hear that, or if one of your loved ones says, oh, he's starting to talk to me poorly, or she's starting to talk to me poorly, then just know that that is a form of domestic violence. Yolanda, with your beautiful self, we got you back in here, girl. We had lost you for a second, but I said, we're going to get this queen right back in here and get her back to where. So Yolanda, just to double back a bit what you were saying. So He knew you had someone else.
Yes.
He
Yes.
started to you what you added to, and then, oh, LA Lim is here. LA Lim said there are red flags that men miss as well. Absolutely, Lim. And we said that early on before you jumped on. LA Lim is the #1 radio personality on DAVI Radio Los Angeles. We are a licensed
Yeah.
station, so we're coming back on. We launched the station during COVID, and so now we have a brand new engineering team out of the UK. And LA Lim is, yes, he is. He's a Sunday superstar, 2 to 6 p.m. Pacific time, guys. So make sure you chime in. We'll be giving you all and we're always looking for, and then we're going to chime right back in. We're always looking for stories. So if you're out there and you know of a great story that needs to be told, we have a breast cancer awareness segment that's going to be coming up. Definitely want to. I have a woman that said her husband left her in the middle of the night when she had a double mastectomy. He said he couldn't take it, and he left her in the middle of the night, took all of his things and left. So there's a lot of people. So there's a lot. We have a grief segment that's coming up, a dating segment, but we'll talk. Yolanda, tell us about the first real, just to double back, how long were you in that other relationship before you broke that off?
I was in that relationship for 11 years. A lot of my relationships have been long lasting relationships. It was just basically, I mean, it's sad to say, but the guy was married. He was a married man. And that's one thing that I said I would never, ever do, because just my immaturity, you get with people that you shouldn't be with, but just because he's not in the house with her, that still should have been off limits. But myself, I guess I didn't really think of it like that. I just felt like, oh, he's, separated, and we started living together. And so we was together for 11 years. We were really good, but at the end of the day,
how long were you dating the two of them at the same time is my question.
I was only dating both of them a short period of time, because I knew that it was, I want to say maybe like 3-4 months, maybe at the most. It wasn't that long, but it was still, but you know how those exes, they still want to still be 1 foot in the door and 1 foot out, and still want to still have you, access to you and stuff like that. And then I just felt like I was obligated, because, he was really good to me, and he would, give me his check, and when he worked, and he did a lot of things. But also, this guy that was the new guy, he was doing the same thing. He put me on this joint account, and then any money that he made, he was just bam, 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 bam. And there was times when I say, I don't want your money, I don't want that money. He get mad because I don't want the money. And and then he would tell me that his family would hurt him, and then he would not talk to me days at a time. So those are some of the red flags also, you guys, because when a person does not talk to you for no apparent reason and go isolate themselves, something is going on the inside, and you don't know. Because I wasn't able to identify a lot of those things, because I never, like I said, none of that stuff was modeled, and I never seen it, so I didn't know what was going on with him. So I just assumed that, okay, so when you want to talk, but he would never not talk to me. After he stopped, after he would not talk to me for days at a time, it was not an apology. It was just like we would just go back to like ain't nothing ever happened, if that makes sense.
And you know what? You know what? And here, Yolanda said, when you refused the money, that meant he couldn't control you. And so that's the truth. When you said no to the money, he couldn't control you. Was there ever a time where you felt that it was your fault because of anything that you were doing? Because, and again, I'm just going to, on Davi Davenport Live, and I said to you, it's two girlfriends talking. Okay, so it's just the two girlfriends talking. So, and for anyone tuning in, did you ever feel, because I always, for me, like I've never dated a married man. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because I didn't want someone to date my husband, although I ended up being divorced also. It wasn't for that, but it was for other reasons. Was there ever a time where you felt, believe me, there's tons of other things that I look back in my life that I wish I had done differently. But that was one thing that I just said that because I had seen a lot of hurt in that for myself coming up. I had seen what that looked like again. So was there ever a time when you felt maybe this was my fault? Like maybe this relationship I'm in is my fault?
When you say my fault, I'm trying to figure out, is it like, was it my fault that this happened to me, or was
Did
it my
you
fault
ever
just
think,
being?
did you ever think to yourself, I don't think it was your fault.
No,
I don't
I
think ever anyone putting their hands on you is your fault. Let's
no.
get that straight. But do you ever,
What?
there's been times that I've done things and I said, maybe if I had done that differently, would
Yeah.
they? I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. So sometimes I'll say, maybe if I hadn't eaten this wouldn't have happened. Or maybe if, if I used to smoke weed and I'm a lung cancer, maybe if I had never smoked weed before, that would have never happened. I'm being transparent on here. That's not me. I don't drink
Yes.
or smoke or do anything. It's been a long time. But
We all have a past. We all
did
have a
I
past.
did I do this to myself? Sometimes I ask myself. So that's what I'm saying. Did you ever think
I
to
did.
yourself, and again, that is it something I did?
I did. Honestly, I did. I was just trying to figure out what could it have been for someone to try to take my life. And there was no argument. There was nothing to make me believe that I felt like, man, what? I mean, I was trying to rack my brain. I was trying to wrap everything around my head and trying to figure out, it was like we had no argument. He did leave for a couple of days, and I found out he went on a binge, a drug binge, which I found out he was using after the fact. But I just felt like, what did I do wrong? I'm good to everybody. I'm not a mean person. I'm not, spiteful. I'm not, I don't disrespect nobody. I just couldn't figure out what it was. And I was talking to my pastor and I told him, I said, was it my fault? What was it? And he said, don't you put that on you, because you did nothing
Yes,
wrong.
yes, yes.
And but you go through that period of trying to figure it out, because why could somebody do something that heinous to you? For what reason?
Right.
But I had to realize that they say hurt people hurts people. So it was something going
Ooh,
on within
yes,
himself that
yes.
he wanted to do this to me. And I don't hear it. And then another thing, I'm going to say this also with all transparency, because I felt that because he was already going through a period in his life of hurt, many hurt from his mother, his family, childhood traumas. And then I started feeling like maybe it wasn't for me. Maybe he didn't mean to do this to me. Maybe he thought I was somebody in his family and I was the closest thing. So I went through that period as well, because I'm like, I just couldn't wrap nothing around my head that'll make me
Yeah,
feel like, because I was his good morning sunshine, his boo
right.
boo kitty. I was his, I mean, it's just like every morning he'd get up, he'd make sure I'm good. And I just couldn't see what it was that make him do that to me. And
Yolanda, you shared something with me when we talked. You shared something, girl. Again, you looking so fabulous. I'm sitting there wondering, why am I in a turtleneck, girl? Because I wish I had all that cleavage going on today.
I
I mean,
told you I had to do a rehearsal today for the casting member. I'm gonna be a cast on for the series, so seasons, and I had to be dressed up. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be
amazing. You look
cutie.
amazing, sister. I just want to tell you
Thank
that
you.
you look absolutely. And what is it? What just real quick? You're on. It's going to be on Tubi, right?
Yes,
And the name
yes.
of this seasons.
Season, yes,
Make sure
season.
you guys check out Seasons. It's coming out. Our girl
Because they
Yolanda.
already got some series, part one, series one, and all that seasons.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so they
Well,
already
the
got
queen is in there, honey. Now the queen is in there, honey. Yes.
it.
Let me.
Yeah.
You told me that and then I want you to tell the story, and I have some pictures I'm
Okay.
going to share with everyone, and we're going to talk about the awards that you got and also the things that you're doing in the community. We're definitely going to, because this show is always about what the blessing was.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
all Davi Davenport Live is about. I'm not ever
It's
here.
where you been, but it's where you going. I mean,
Exactly. It's
yeah.
never about who slept with who, any of that.
Yeah.
Nobody can come on. This isn't, I love Wendy Williams. She was incredible, but that's not my story. That's not my show. That's not what I'm here to do. So whatever we're doing, and I love it, Kaya said that yes, that hit home. That's what we're doing here. Thank you to everyone. And she also said, unfortunately, we do blame ourselves. So many times we do blame ourselves.
I did. I did. I blame myself. I even blame myself because my son had to be in the house. And then I felt like I let him down because he told me to mama leave him. And I was like, oh, he ain't gonna do nothing to me. That man loved me. So I was just going through a period of like, man, I'm failing everybody. What I should have
No,
just
no.
left him alone. Yeah.
You said, you told me, he said to you one time,
Hmm.
you did something. And he
Hmm.
said, you better be glad.
Yes.
You
If I were,
said, he
if
said to you, you better be glad I'm not the person
look,
I was
you,
before.
yes, he
And
did
you
tell me
told
that.
me, you said, when he said that to me, Davi, I should have thought then, because if somebody says, you better be glad,
I'm not what I used to be. I crush your dome. Yep, he
I will
did tell me that.
crush. I wanted to let you say that part. I will crush your dome if I was the person I was
Used to
before.
be. Hmm.
Whew.
And I
I
didn't
thought that man
listen.
just take you to the core.
Yes, and I felt like you ain't gonna do nothing to me. I just think I wasn't afraid of him. I mean, it was like I was able to do what I wanted to do. I didn't have to get his approval or his permission to get up and move around. Like I said, I was
Sure.
very free spirit. I was a line dancer. I was a hairstylist. I was just doing me. So
Yes.
I didn't feel like I had to be afraid of him. I'm like, okay, whatever. But people
So
kept telling me,
Yolanda,
Yolanda, be careful.
yeah. Let's fast forward to the day. Fast forward to that day 10 years ago
Hmm.
when you said that he said, because you're snoring,
Hmm.
he decided to do what to you, to share that with the viewer, because I can't believe that it's so we're gonna end up having to go 5 minutes over with this guy. We're gonna need a part two for this one, girl, because you were amazing. And nobody wears a patch like you do, girl. Nobody wears that patch, baby.
And I have on my patch. It says, what it say?
Church
Rebirth. What man? Is it rebirth?
rebirth.
Okay, yeah. This is a rebirth
It's the
patch
rebirth. Yes.
because I am reborn again. So
Yes. Yes.
okay, so
Take us to that actual day. You're laying in bed with him, and what happens? I'm going to share some pictures with the viewers, but go ahead.
okay, leading up to that, we were just the day my son, I took him to school, picked him up and all that stuff. And then he was already gone and he had left for a couple of days. So when I came back, he started calling me, asking me was I at home. So I just was like, no, I'm not at home yet. So I ended up making it back home. After I made it home, um I didn't know that he had seen me when I dropped my son off, but apparently he did. So as he coming through or whatever, he was already wedged in the doorway, and it shocked me. So when we got in the house, he was telling me how the doctor said he was stressed out and all that. And then myself, I'm wondering like, what is he telling me this for? Because is he gonna do something to me or what? That was already in the back of my mind, but I ain't think for what. There's nothing that I be. So, we get in the house the whole night, the day, around about 12 o'clock midnight, I had went and got in the bed. But what I did do, I went and got in the bed, but never thought that going to bed would be leading me to almost losing my life. So I went to sleep, but I didn't wake up the way I went to sleep. So around about, I just want to say like 5 o'clock in the morning, I was being shook by my son and the paramedics because come to find out, this man went and got a hammer and brutally beat me with a hammer and left me in a pool of blood to die. Literally left me to die. And part of my brains was left with me. And
Yolanda, I have a picture here that you shared with me. What
mhm.
this was, and let's see if we can. Oh, it's going behind us instead of. I'll pull that up. I'll get that back. But go ahead, Yolanda. Finish that. I'll get that back.
So I just didn't know what was going on. And when the police and paramedics asked me questions, I was trying to answer questions, but I'm trying to figure out why am I spitting up blood and all this stuff all over the bed, and I'm like, just don't let me die. And they telling me, no, you're not gonna die. You're talking. And I trusted them, and we got to the hospital because they wouldn't. My son was very hysterical because he said he heard me. He heard me scream. He said, by the time he got to the room, he said it was blood from my bedroom to the front door. And
Mm.
when he came in the room, it was blood all over the walls and everything. And I don't even know how many times he hit me with that hammer because the doctor said that he did a lot of damage. And I felt like I just knew that I was I would sleep with my Bible open every night. Every night I slept with my Bible, so I know God shield me because I can't even tell you what that hammer even felt like. And I just knew that my life was like God gave me my life back, allowed me to be a voice, and to just know that this could have been me. I could have been 6 feet under, but God loved me just that much to, you know, take care of me. And what I also want to talk about is my son, because my son had to come and he had to see all of this. And that's when I felt like I had this part is so emotional for me because
Take your time.
I I felt like my son told me, and then one of my girlfriends told me, like prior to that, Yogi, you need to be careful because the Holy Spirit came and told me that this man is gonna do something to you. And I'm like, no, he loved me. He ain't gonna do anything to me. I wasn't thinking about that. I was not thinking that he could ever want to do something heinous like that. So my baby, I was just, it was really hard for me because he did tell me, he said, Mom, why don't you just put him out, just leave him alone? And because it was times when he wanted me in the bedroom when I didn't want to be. I wanted to be in the living room. I wanted to do me. I wasn't feeling all that no more. I was just, I guess, because I don't even know if it was because when he came back in, he seen some of his clothes packed. That could have been it. But I still never found, I never really got closure. He never said why he did this, but he did tell the homicide. He told the police and everybody that he beat me with a hammer because I was snoring.
Jesus.
And I know that he wasn't lying. I know that the homicide, because when homicide came to my bed, I kept hearing ringing in my head when he was beating me in my head. You're snoring. It was just like a ringing. You're like a demonic or something, slow motion, like you're snoring, ying, ying, ying. So I was like, what was
Jesus.
going on? I had no idea what would have happened to me. But when
Let's
I
be very
really,
clear also. Let's be very, very clear. And somebody just said, Yolanda Jennings said, how old was your son? Let's be very clear. He had mental illness. He had
yes,
mental illness. He was sick. We have to make sure we watch the signs for mental illness. There's a lot more
yes.
going on right now because thank God you protected your son. Thank God he did not.
My son
Yolanda,
was 17. He was 17. He had just made 17. He had just made 17 like a few weeks before that happened.
yes,
And he's my son's a mama boy. And he said that he heard me scream, but when he came, it was already too late. And but he wanted to get me help. He All he could do is just hysterically call my daughter, call the police and everything. But of course, they didn't let nobody come in because they wanted to make sure the scene was safe before they can even have somebody to come in to save me. But
Jesus.
it was just a blessing where I just was talking and I talked myself through it, and I just told them not to let me die. I didn't want to die,
Yeah.
and God spared my life. He spared
Yolanda,
my
I have a picture right here, and this is, I don't know if you can see it also, but
Yes,
is this the pool of
yes.
blood
That's
that you
what the brains and the bit. Yes, and yes, and it was a lot. Even went through. It even went through the mattress, and they said it was even. I lost 75% of my blood. I was cold for months. It was so bad that I had to have 13 reconstructive surgeries, and those surgeries were through periodically different times because they couldn't do all the surgeries. So I had surgery from March 22nd, 2016 to November of 2022. So that's just a lot of surgeries in and out of the hospital. I lost a job, I lost my car, I had to relocate apartments, lost, finance, didn't have finances for, disability denied me the first 2 years. But God, I'm telling you, people was pouring into my life. No one just like left me hanging. God just brought everybody together and to support me. And it is difficult being not able to work anymore and stuff like that. You have to, your life has been altered because of somebody trying to take your life. And it gets very frustrating because you feel like, man, if it wasn't for this person to do this to me, I would be where I want to be in life. But you know what, you got to also think about, you are where you God wants you to be. God
Yes.
allowed this to happen.
If you, I'm sorry to cut you off there. I'm sorry about that. I looked
That's
at the
okay.
clock and sorry about that, princess. If you had to go back to that woman that you were when you first met him, and also speaking to the women and men, as La Lynn said this, and I said, it happens to men as well. Well, right now we're going to say,
Yes,
if
it
you had to go
does.
back to that woman that you were, or to a woman that's tuning in right now, and if you had, what would you say to her? That woman that you were, that woman that's tuning in right now, that's might be going through the same thing. What would you say before, if you could go back? Because first of all, everything that you've experienced, you've helped so many other people with it. And as you said here, the one eyewitness, I mean, come on now, what you took and turned that into something that you're changing people's lives. You're inspired. You inspire me. You
Thank
inspire
you.
me, Queen. You inspire me.
Thank you.
What
So
would
what
you
I wanted to say
yes.
to any woman that's going through it, first of all, it's never your fault. You have to know that it's never your fault. You have to watch those red flags, watch those warning signs, because being in a relationship with somebody, it should be fun. It should not be, anytime you
Yes.
see an onset of something, you have
Yes.
to redirect and say, you know what, this is not what I want. Also, we have to start pay attention into the family dynamics.
Oh,
What,
yes.
where, who they family is? Are they a part of any type of violence? Domestic
Oh,
violence. What do
yes.
you do, like when you get mad, and how do you move? Like, do you call me the B word? Are you disrespectful? We have to open up, because a lot of times we so in love, and we look at it like, oh my God, he's so nice and he's so charming and charismatic
Yes.
and attentive. He got my back, my front, and all that. And that was my story. I thought that because this man was so amazing, that he would never ever do nothing to hurt me. But
Yes.
it was shown proven wrong. So yes,
Yes.
if you are in it, please get out of it and be safe, because you have to know that, when we tell people, you can never tell a person to leave their abuser. You have to come up with a strategic plan, come up with
Sure.
a safety plan, someone that you can trust. And you can't tell everybody what you're doing because it's not safe.
No.
So there's a lot of things that you have to start putting in place. Just start putting things away. Just try to know that, first of all, it's like I said, it's never your fault. It's
Yeah.
never your fault.
Never.
And if you see something just on the onside of it, don't let them get away with it, because they know that once they get away with it one time, they'll do it again, again, and again.
Yes.
And then feel like you got to get permission to go outside. I don't
Mhm.
have to ask you to go outside. I should never have to ask, get no permission to do the things that everybody do.
Yes.
And it's sad to say that we we as women, because I know domestic violence is men. I know men that are experiencing it as well.
Yes.
And it's not something that the men talk about because it's underreported. Men are not so, wanting to really open up about that topic because that's a very sensitive topic when it comes down to it. But it's happening. It's happening. Even if they don't physically abuse you, there's the mental, the emotional part that's embedded inside. Those words that you can't undo or say. You may say something and it cuts really deep, like a knife. You know what I'm saying? So there's things that I wish that I would have paid attention to. Those things that I took for granted. I was like, oh, he just going through family issues. He's not gonna
Yes.
hurt me. And then I felt like, and then I want to say also is that sometimes when you being abused, you become the abuser because the more a person abuses you, you want to return the favor, and then that's when you start becoming an abuser as
Well,
well.
at that point you feel like you're defending yourself almost. You feel, which what they say, the abuser becomes the, what is it say? Sometimes you're abused, you become the abuser as
Yes.
well. So many times people that happens in their lives. Yolanda, what happened to him after this happened? What went on? Was he arrested?
Yes, he was arrested. He went and turned himself in like 2 days later. He went and turned himself in, and once he turned himself in, he told them that he was coming to turn himself in. He beat his girlfriend with a hammer, and they asked him why did he do something like that, and he told them that because I was snoring,
Yeah.
and it was just like after that. I think when we did
He turned
preliminary,
himself in.
he turned himself in.
He told the police he
Mhm.
beat his girlfriend with a hammer because he was snoring. George Long just asked a question here. George Long said, I'm sorry you went through this evil, tragic situation. He asked, did he go to the doctor? Was he diagnosed with bipolar or mental issues? Or what was it? Substance abuse? What was it?
I have no idea. I was so traumatized behind this whole thing. I never found out what his medical history was, or even right now, as we all know that a lot of everyone don't know, but they just released him from prison. They gave him a 12-year plea deal with attempted murder with intent to kill with injuries, but the crime holds up to 30 years, and of course they're not giving them 30 years. They're not even giving them the full time in no more. So at um 10 years. This is made 10 years. So he's not supposed to be released until 2029, but they released him early. But he's not free to just walk around or whatever. He's still under supervision by them or whatever. And if he even send a kite or send somebody to call me, third party or anything, he will be going back to prison. So it's very traumatizing to me as a individual that had to go through this because I don't know I don't know where he's located at. And
Yeah.
I could be walking somewhere and then I just happen to see him. I will freak out. I probably would not know what to do. It would just because it's hard to go through something like that.
If you see
And
him
then
start screaming, the minute you lay eyes on him, even before he says anything, just start screaming. Start
yeah.
screaming, and maybe that'll shock him away from you if he were to ever come around. I'm hoping that God has touched him enough to know that what he's done is horrific and that it is something else. But if you see him, you start screaming and you get him to, just sometimes it's the shock factor. And of course, I'm not a law enforcement officer, I'm not a doctor, but I know what I would do. I would just start screaming, and maybe that'll shock him enough because he may be coming thinking he's going to come to say he's sorry or
And
he
that's
wants
what
to
people were saying, that maybe he wants to apologize,
send me
but
a letter.
also,
Send me a
but
letter.
I think I mentioned this to you already as well, that I was kind of feeling bad when they released him. Am I wrong for not wanting him to be released? Should I just let him just move on and go with his life. I was just feeling all these type of emotions. Like, am I feeling selfish for not wanting this man to finish the rest of his days? He's 70 years old. He's 11 years older than me. So I was just in my mind because I know that he's released. And then it kind of stopped me from moving the way I used to move. I felt like I don't want to go outside. I don't want to go do this. I don't want to run into him. And it just made me feel like I was being paralyzed and I was stopping my life. And I didn't want to continue to give him this power. And that's what we do. We give people too much power over us. And then we stop living because we of fear. And I started realizing God didn't give me the spirit of fear. He gave me power, love, and a sound mind. So now I have to take my power back and I have to start working towards, living my life, the best of my life, the way I know that I used to live my life. And everything is just a blur. It's just my life has been changed, and then, walking around with an eye patch and walking around, not being able to really see up and down, being able, you tripping and, not knowing. It's a whole change of life. Your life has changed. People see the outside, they don't see the inside. They don't really see what you go through. But at the end of the day, I always try to show up in the best version of myself because I want to help people. I start feeling like if I tell people I'm not okay, they're not going to feel like I'm credible. But I felt like, you know what? I am human, and human people go through things, and that does not make us less credible. That does not make us less we can tell other people about how to live a normal life and be able to be productive as a survivor. Yes, we survived it. This is lived experiences. This is nothing that we can just get out of a textbook and say, oh, they do this, that, and the other. This is something that I've lived and I'm living. Every day I look in the mirror. It's a constant. It's a constant reminder. My face is disfigured still. I look, I wear this hat behind this eye patch. It's just a lot of things that we go through and people don't see it. It be times when I want to go places. I may not have the money to. I'm too embarrassed to say, well, no, I can't come to your event, or I can't do this because I don't have the funds and stuff. That's embarrassing. And, people look at you, oh, look, lights, camera out. She always in these type of places, but that's called favor. That's called favor. Because God told me. Yes.
Yolanda, sweetheart, you are so beautiful.
Thank you.
You are so beautiful. Someone said in the comments that, you don't look like what you've been through, but that's true. But also, sweetheart, you are gorgeous. I looked at pictures of you before. I looked at pictures of you during. I look at pictures of you after. I'm sitting here with you now having a conversation, a heartfelt conversation, two queens talking to one another. And you are a gorgeous woman. And every time the enemy tries to look at you and say anything other than that, you let them know the devil is a lie. Because you are a survivor. You are so much of a survivor. And that's the beauty in itself. See, we have to, it's just like so many times the things that I'm a 2-time cancer survivor, and I used to have this long, beautiful hair. Now I'm stuck either wearing a weave or a wig or something for the rest of my life.
You are beautiful too,
Sewn in, or I'm putting something on. But that's my real story. Can't use the bathroom naturally. I'm using a 16-inch tube to urinate, and that's my real story. If I'm out with somebody, I got to tell a date. I'm saying, look, it may take me a few minutes longer because I have to do this to use the bathroom. But that's my real story. So beautiful woman of God. You are beautiful. Whenever the enemy tries to tell you, and girl, as far as that money thing, girl, that money thing happened with everybody because girl, sometimes I look, I can't go because you better send me a car or something, Or
I can open up my mouth and say, is anybody donating a ticket or anybody doing this? Yeah. But I had a sense of pride. I have pride, and I don't like to ask nobody for nothing. I just try to figure it all out.
Yes. Well, you know what? Now tell all the viewers of Davi Davenport Live some of the great things that you have going on. You got so many awards that you received. Definitely going to share those. But tell us right now what the One Eye Witness, baby. That's a cold-blooded name, baby. The One Eye Witness. what the one eyewitness has going on right now. I wore the purple for you. Next time I'm doing cleavage, girl. Okay, we doing cleavage.
Ah,
When we get to the show next time, we doing cleavage together, girl. Here, you look
okay.
fabulous.
One eyewitness, but my organization, I started a nonprofit organization, and that's called Beautifully Scarred. Beautifully Scarred was birthed through my near fatal domestic violence assault. So basically, what we are a resource to resource organization. We support and with mentorship and counseling, and we go through other organizations with other public, like organizations and oh my goodness, off the top of my head, we we
Take your
we meet
time,
what
sister. Take your time, girl. Take your
we
time.
we meet and with other
Cooperating
like
with other organizations.
subcommittees,
Yes.
and yeah, it's just so much that we trying to do, but I'm gonna tell you, we need some support. We need some people to want to donate their time. I need somebody that know how to do fundraisers, like someone to help us, make sure we get these fundraisers going, and just the little things that we need done to, get going. We need donations. We just need Beautifully Scarred to start getting what we need to start making things happen. So if we can support more people, we want to be able to, like, if somebody call us, we want to be able to make sure they can have to get away. A lot of times, they may need a hotel, or they may need gas for their car so they can, leave a situation. Because right now, if you look at the stats and what's going on with these domestic violence places, there's no place for these people to go to. So they're
Sure.
forced to go back to their abusers. So
Uh-oh.
we don't want that to keep happening. And if we can get people to support us and to help us to, navigate, and if anybody knows some shelters or some help, or want to help with any essentials or whatever it is, let me know. You just reach out to me through 773-809-2521. My nonprofit, like I said, is Beautifully Scarred. If you want to know more about Beautifully Scarred, it's a beautifullyscarred.com, beautifullyscarred.com, and you can go on there and you can see what we're doing. But we want to be able to do more, but right now we just kind of
Yes.
like at a standstill because we don't have a lot of support the way we want to. But we know that God is gonna send some people to help us. So and also, yes, I have been recipients of a plethora of rewards, and then the recent one I'm about to be is the Mavies.
Maybes,
Um,
we're super excited, guys. The Maybes are going to be
yeah,
January the 9th. We're super excited. Shout out to Erica Porter, who's doing great.
Erica Porter, MBA. Yes, I love
Baby,
her.
Erica Porter, MBA. She's doing incredible things. You are one of the recipients, and you are one of the ones that
Yes,
she's so proud of. When you
thank
think
you.
about it, you may not have as much support as you thought you did, but somebody's going to see this show tonight. And I just want to say this to all the viewers this evening, for everyone that tuned into the show this evening to Davi Davenport Live. The entire reason that we do the show, Davi Davenport Live, is all about us introducing you to people, places, and things that can help to change your life. To all the viewers that tuned in tonight, there's nothing I can say to thank you enough for chiming in and hearing this story. This story wasn't about the domestic violence. That was the foundation of it. But this story was about a survivor. This story was about a resilient woman who's changing people's lives in the community. This amazing woman, Yolanda Carter, said, Davi, all I want to do with my story is empower others. And that's
Yes.
exactly what she's doing. And if you know of a story that needs to be told, if you know of someone that they're changing other people's lives, and go to davidavenportlive.com, shoot me an email. You can go to any of my social media. You can reach out. I want to say a huge
Yes.
you to all of you. We're going to definitely get Yolanda on again. We're going to have a part 2 of this segment with Yolanda joining us again. This time, we're going to actually have some guests come on with her that have experienced domestic violence, but we're going to have
I got a lot of sisters, and they sure be watching. Some of my crime survivor speak sisters. Yes, a lot of my people. Thank y'all for showing up for me, and it's not easy doing this by yourself. So you always need a good support system, and I have some amazing sisters, near and far from all different states. I have someone that supports me. So I'm just grateful. And, thank you also. And my girl, Shawnee. And I don't want to. Essie Marie. Yes. She knows that I am a fan of those dressings. I had to buy, so I stay with my dressings,
Girl,
so
dressings or something.
That changed my life.
I have a friend that's here too, who's a big sister to me, Karen Hobbs. She says, "You're beautiful, sister. God bless you and all you trying to come." She's known me since I was born. So she's someone that our families owned homes next door to each other our whole lives. And so we have known each other, and she's seen me for my entire life and always known I've always wanted to be, even as a young child, wanted to be as much of a positive influence as I could in the community. And then here, Kaya said, I love you, girl.
Yes, I love you too, Kaya. Thank y'all. So I just thank God for all of my supporters, everyone that has just been with me through this full journey. Because, I'm going to say this, a lot of times we don't know that people really need to hear our stories, because sometimes when you get those backlashes and people always, well, you got to keep saying this, that's embarrassing, I wouldn't tell people. But there's someone that has, thank you, Kenya. I love you, Kenya. I love all of my sisters. I love all of my brothers and my sisters that support me. My girl Yolanda, that Jennings, yes. We are our crime survivor speak sisters, and my voices of hope, and my classmates and everybody that coming on. I don't see everybody, but whoever's on here, thank y'all so much. And if you all watch the replay, thank y'all so much again. And Davi Davenport, you are so amazing. You also truly a blessing. And when I seen Shawnee's interview, I was like, I need to talk to her. But you know what, Lord behold, you already, came to me.
I was already looking. That's why I inboxed you immediately. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you how much I've enjoyed you tonight. It is 8:12. I never run over more than 5 minutes, but I was not going to cut off our flow, our conversation. We will be continuing this. Thank you to everyone that tuned in tonight. I cannot thank you enough. Please share this live. Share this live. Please share this live. I realized I had a whole air condition going on real loud. I turned it off. I was like, wait a minute now. I can hear myself better. Well, girl, I was so into it talking to you. I love you, sweetheart. Thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for the lives that you're saving. And for all of you, please share this. Please share this live. Let people know that, guess what? When you see something, say something.
Absolutely.
Say something, guys. Say something. We're going to go out with a little dance music here so that we can enjoy ourselves, girl. Shout out to, I love you, Farley. Farley made this theme song for me.
Farley. Farley, yes, Farley. I know Farley.
Farley did it for us, girl. Good night, guys. Everybody have a good evening. Bye-bye. See you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.